Wealth with Gary Quackenbush is sponsored by the Word on Wealth Radio Network. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary is a San Diego financial solutions attorney, protecting people like you. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. Now,
You're live. Happy Wednesday, everybody. This is Gary Quackenbush here on the Word on Wealth. Yes, you know why Wednesday is my favorite day of the week. It's the middle day, but that's not really what matters. What matters is I get very excited because I have a friend of mine, a professional friend who has helped my family a lot and me personally with real estate transactions. And I am so grateful for that. And I am even more excited to have him with us on the show so that you guys can hear from him and talk to him and call and get answers to your questions. Ken Pecus, how you doing, man?
I am doing great, Gary. This is the second best day of the year.
First is your birthday, and second is today. Why is it the second best?
Bingo! 9 days from now is the birthday, so we can all celebrate. I hope you're all out shopping. I love bling. And then, but today, first day of summer in San Diego, California, it's the summer solstice. So technically, first day will come on sometime in the next few hours. But yes, it is. It's a perfect day outside, and you cannot be anything but happy, right?
Oh, it's gorgeous. Yeah, fun this morning going out mountain bike riding. It was really foggy, and I thought, oh, this is great because it's foggy, and then because we have the coastal influence, we're riding in the Rancho Penasquitos area, and then the sun burned it off by about 6:30 in the morning, and it was gorgeous. And I just went, I love this place. And you asked
We're
me,
back to liking San Diego.
well, it's like you wonder. So, what makes you think that real estate prices are going to always be sustained and they're always going to have good real estate prices in San Diego? And I go, just wait till tomorrow. You're going to love it. It's so funny. I had in the tax group I belong to, California Society of Tax Consultants, every year we've had the county assessor. And this is back when it was, I can't remember, I'm forgetting his name, but it was Greg. And he would come and visit our group every year. And he would talk about the real estate bubble because people go, oh, no, there's a bubble. There's a bubble. The bubble's going to pop. It's going to collapse. We're going to all lose. And he goes, wait a minute. Are you living in the house that you're talking about? Yeah. What do you care about a bubble? Who cares what it's worth? Are you living in the house and enjoying it? Yes. Okay. Well, then who cares about a bubble? But then he said, but you ask, why do real estate prices in San Diego always go up? Like just you look on this eternal progression, they're going up and they're going up at a good rate, like on average all the time. And he said, well, let's see. January, you're watching the US Open in Torrey Pines, and you're in New York, and it's sub-zero. You've been freezing your rear end off for the last several months. You're going to freeze it off for a few more months, and you're watching a sunny golf tournament on the ocean, and it's in San Diego. He goes, so anyways, that's my answer. It's funny.
Thank God we have the Farmers Open. It's the best thing ever.
So cool.
No, it's perfect. I'm back to no complaints anymore. All is forgiven and forgotten. San Diego and I have made up after the last 2 months of unusually cloudy weather. So
May gray and June gloom. Ken,
we're good partners.
Again. Why are we that way though? My mom used to tell me, Gary, it's June gloom. Gary, it's May gray. Remember, you're in San Diego. There's May gray and June gloom. And I've been doing this now for 60 plus years and going, why is it gloomy today? And my wife said, Gary, June gloom, May gray, San Diego. I'm like, that's right. By Memorial Day, we still have usually Memorial Day is not that sunny. Periodically it is, but we're good from here on out. We're good. Hey, Ken, I just have 100 questions. I really do have a lot. And I do want to open the lines to our listeners, 888-344-1170. You guys, seriously, get a hold of Ken. If you're thinking about buying real property, if you're thinking about selling real property, and you just want those ideas, what he's done for my family, which is crazy. It's like one of my kids called him and said, hey, Ken, I want some ideas. And Ken dishes the ideas. It's not like, well, sign a contract with me and agree to pay me. It's like he has ideas. It's like when I talked to Anthony, our Thursday guest, it's like, everything is about investments and how to make things easier in retirement and all that. When I talk to Ken, it's not about, well, this is a pretty home. Do you want to buy it? It's like, this is what will work for your money. This is how it works. And I'm happy that you're on the show. I'm always thrilled that it's Wednesday and we get to talk. And I just love this hour that we get to spend together. Ken's number is 619-977-8419. 619-977-8419. I want to get into the topic of parents and grandparents helping kids with real estate, like qualifying or, whether they're contributing money, but just different ways to do that. Because the thing that I'm seeing, obviously in my industry a lot, is people are inheriting money. Hello, that's my business, is to help people inherit money. And when they do, there's these issues like, okay, grandpa or dad, who's 65, 70 years old, inherited a bunch of money and wants to figure out how to invest real property. And they also want to invest in their children. So I want to address that, kind of for the first part of our show. And I'm going to turn it over to you. What are ideas, your thoughts? How does that work? What are good ways of doing it? So we got a couple minutes to go over it now, and then we're going to keep talking about that. So turning the mic over to you, Ken.
Got it. That's a really good wide topic, because there's so many different scenarios. So
yeah,
I think we can hit up a bunch of them.
Good.
And then go from there. So in general, one thing that's really good about lending, and you could probably do this when you have lenders on the show, but it affects it when you're going to purchase, is that most banks, lending source or whatever, will allow direct relative parents to participate in the purchase process. And when I say that, let's say, Gary, we're really good friends. I think you're awesome. And you want to help me buy a house. Well, you can help me buy a house, but short of signing your name to the mortgage payment where we're both buying the house together, there's not a lot of ways that you can do it. But if we related by blood, like a parent or grandparent, there are some vehicles that really help. And one of the biggest ones is the gift down payment program. And so there's different ways to look at the gift down payment program, but that's something we can talk about, okay, where a parent can totally help their child, and maybe not, maybe it's a gift until 10 years from now. We could talk about how that kind of all goes.
Okay. No, I think that's important, because we do run into that. I've seen it because people ask me that. Well, it's a gift. What if my kid does pay it back, or what if he wants to? Does that mean that I was, that it wasn't true or anything like that? But yeah, let's get into that a little bit. Coming up next, so let's we keep talking here on the Word on Wealth. We got Ken Pecus of the Pecus Group at eXp Realty. His direct line is 619-977-8419. Hang in there. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the gifting down payments and parents and grandparents helping kids get into houses. We'll be right back on the Word on Wealth.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find answers you can trust when you need them. Welcome to the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush. We're here to help you build, protect, and transfer everything you've worked hard for with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary and the team at gqlaw.com. 855-500-TRUST.
You're saving and investing for the future, and that's good. Have you ever stopped to think, where does my money actually go? This is Faith-Based Investing with Anthony Wright.
Most Christians just don't understand that the money they save for retirement usually helps fund the abortion industry and other liberal anti-family causes. But did you know that with just a few minutes of your time, we can screen and clean your investments at no cost to you? It's absolutely complimentary. Just go to the website right now, download a free copy of my book, Faith-Based Investing. It's free as well. You deserve to know the truth as the investor. Then the choice is yours. You can keep doing what you're doing, or you can line up your investments and life savings with your beliefs. We are fiduciary investment advisors. You can feel good about investing with confidence. So learn more now. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com or call me at 931-RETIRED. Your free book is waiting for you. Go to BibleSafeInvesting.com and be sure that you listen to Faith-Based Investing this weekend right here on Family Talk.
So Gary, we've talked a long time about estate administration. So what is that and why is it important?
Estate administration is the distribution part of estate planning. So when someone passes away and they leave money to beneficiaries, the property has to be administered. So it's like taking it from the decedent to the survivor. That's called the estate administration process. So usually you're going to have a successor trustee that's named in the trust. So have no idea what they're doing because they've never done it before. So then they call on GQ Law and we walk them step by step on how to be a successful and good successor trustee. We also do the required notifications. We notify the Department of Health Services and all the legal requirements so that they can have the estate administration done properly. We help successor trustees be successful.
Call or click to request your free consultation. GQlaw.com, 855-500-TRUST, GQlaw.com.
Who will you trust with the biggest financial decision of your lifetime? If you're planning to buy or sell a home in San Diego County, do what I do and work with the true San Diego real estate experts. Ken Pecus and the Pecus Group helped me and my family. They can help you. This is Gary Quackenbush of the Word on Wealth. You hear Ken every week here on the Word on Wealth. He's our expert. He's got integrity, exceptional service, deep knowledge of the San Diego, Coronado, and South Bay regions. These are just some of the reasons that Ken Pecus has completed hundreds of transactions. He manages a powerful team of professionals at the Pecus Group, from single-family attached homes to luxury high-value waterfront properties to apartment buildings. Ken Pecus is ready to help you avoid problems and costly mistakes. Learn more online at kenpecus.com. That's Ken Pecus, Pecus.com. Or call 619-977-8419.
DRE number 010566969, brokered by eXp Realty.
With June gloom, you may think there's no danger.
Tell a friend about this broadcast outreach, The Word on Wealth, with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST, GQlaw.com.
Welcome to the Word on Wealth. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Today is such an awesome day. We have our real estate expert, Ken Pecus, with us on the show. We love to have Ken Pecus answering our questions, and he's doing an awesome job. The time is just flying, so I'm going to jump right into it. His number, write it down, 619-977-8419. All right, Ken. Parents and grandparents helping their kids get into homes. Now, that's a big thing in San Diego where the home prices are high. But like my daughter, who was in San Jose until she moved to Escondido, she was in San Jose looking at the San Diego prices and going, man, those are some deals down there in San Diego. So let's talk about that. The gift
shopper.
Yeah. You live in the Bay Area and it's like, okay, wow, this 700 square foot house is, $1.7 million. Let's move to San Diego we can get twice the house. Anyway. Okay. So let's talk. Okay. We're talking about parents helping and grandparents helping and the gift down payment. Let's talk about that. Tell us what you know and what we should find out.
All right. So the gift down payment is really important. And here's the key. You were just asking about, is it really a gift or whatever? No, it really is a gift because the giver has to sign a gift letter. And the gift letter actually is making a statement that it's a gift, that you have no expectation of payment back, et cetera, et cetera. So it is a gift. And the reason I kind of played with that at the end before the last commercial break is because the kids that as they grow older or whatever, and they're in a space, they understand how they bought the house, and they actually want to help their parents in the reverse down the line. So often it's turned where they do pay, or they give their parents back money after they've made an investment or whatever. But in the truest sense of the loan itself, it's a gift. What people decide to do with the investment proceeds, what they do down the line with the money they make, that's totally up to them. So gifting is a very big part of parent-child, financing, because you couldn't do that for me. Like, we're not blood related, so you couldn't sign a gift letter for me. You would have to actually give me the money. My money would have to season in my bank account for a few months.
Okay.
If the lender asks, hey, where did this money come from? They can come back, whatever. And then they'd have to say, oh, that money came from a friend of mine. And then the friend, I'd be responsible for income taxes on that, because you can't just take gifts. It's all sorts of crazy stuff. It just makes it much easier with a parent-child relationship.
Now,
So,
and then why does a bank, because I understand that, and with all the crazy regulations, why are the banks or the lenders so particular about they want this gift letter, this very specific long gift letter that explains, this is a gift. I never want it back. I promise I never want it back. I'm not kidding. This isn't funny. I don't want it back. I don't need it back. I can afford this money. If I ever get it back, it just was, they're these very detailed, almost to the point of being offensive letters where, and I so declare under the penalty of perjury, and I'll go to jail if I ever get the money back. It's not quite that bad, but the gift letters I've had clients had me review. I mean, it used to be just, you'd write a letter. I mean, because,
gift. Right.
it just says, yeah, this money is a gift. I don't expect it back. But now it's like, this goes on and on. And I'm going like, who cares? It's family money.
Why.
Okay.
Right. I think here's why. Because I think people, first of all, keep in mind, the lender does not want to ever see that house in their real estate owned portfolio. Okay. So what's worse, the lender also wants to package this loan and make sure this loan can be sold on the secondary market. The lender is not really caring about you, mom, dad, and what happens in your life. All they're really caring about is, I don't want that property back in my possession. All I want is you to make me my payments every month. And I believe the reason the gift letters would be getting more extensive, I haven't seen a super extensive one, but if they were, I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make the parent think 18 times, and maybe you offend them before they actually give that gift, because what they don't want is the behind the scenes. The parent is giving you this money, but quite honestly, the parent really needs to get this payment back within a year or two, because they took the money against their 401k. They're taking out a temporary loan, and they're doing something, and it's going to cause the buyer who's going in this to make bad decisions on their ability to actually make the payments every single month. If now they're going to qualify on their payments, and now if they have to do their payments plus their normal living expenses, plus find a way to pay the parent back in a, seemingly quick way,
okay,
it's going to put that property at risk, having to go back to the lender in a foreclosure down the line.
Interesting. No, okay. No, thanks for talking me through that, because that makes more sense. Because to me, it's like, if I'm gonna give my kid, $20,000 to buy a house, I mean, I'm the kind of guy that I'm only going to do it if I don't need that money. I'm not going to take a cash advance on 3 of my credit cards so that my kid could get into the house. I just think that's ridiculous. But I see what you're saying though. That makes a lot of sense.
There are parents, they're trying to help their kids get across. They make a calculated decision, but sometimes they just don't calculate enough. And I think the gift letter is really trying to get the parent and the child to think this through, to make sure they understand what they're doing. You know what I mean? So,
because to me, the bottom line to me is like, if I am going to if I am going to gift money to my kids to buy a house, I don't want it back. I don't care if they give it back. And whether they have any obligation or feeling or moral obligation or whatever, as I get old and need care, I kind of want, I know this sounds funny. I kind of want a few quote emotional deposits in there. Like, oh, that's right. Dad helped me out 20 years ago. And now I shouldn't feel so bad about kind of scraping a little bit because dad's getting older and he needs some help. I don't know. But to me, it's that way with anything. It's like that's not why you do, but it's kind of like, well, yeah, you're being nice and you're being helpful and you can, so you do. But thanks for explaining the lender letter, because that literally they're funny letters. Because I have clients that are like, but I think I want it back and my kid's going to pay me back in 10 years and I want to secure it by a deed of trust. I go, no, if you're going to do that, then you're going to be on the loan and you're going to be on the title, because then you're being treated more as a non-family, right?
Yeah, well, then you're just being treated as a full-on borrower.
Yeah.
That's a different thing, or an owner. But there's a couple of other things. So it's not just gift letters.
Okay.
So you have some programs, like you have FHA. You don't have VA that can do this. But let's say you're buying a first home and you can go FHA. FHA allows parental gifts, but they also allow a non-occupant co-borrower. So that's something that's really good, because if you're going to get an FHA loan for a I hope they still do this, unless they changed it really recently, but I've done this before in the past. They allow a parent to sign, and the parent doesn't have to be living at the property. Whereas you, Gary, couldn't sign for me if I was buying an FHA owner-occupied property, because you're not living with me. It has to be whoever's going to be owner occupying the property, but they will allow a non-occupant co-borrower, and a parent is a perfect example of somebody that can do that. So now the parent is actually a co-signer on the loan, but they don't have to live there, which is another advantage that you can get. There's people that want to help, and they are officially, co-signer. They're responsible for the debt also.
Yeah.
But usually when you're getting the lower interest rate for owner occupied, you have to live there also. Anybody that's signing on that has to live on the property. So it's another really nice vehicle, that they can do.
So because the borrower, the actual borrower is occupant, the co-borrower is non-occupant. Do they still get an owner occupant rate?
Yes, so that's the key on this.
Oh, okay. Because the co-borrower is not. I think that's great. That's good. Okay, I like that one too. It's funny. You're getting me. And the thing is, my attorney alarms are like going woot woot woot, because, and maybe we'll get into that later. But my thing, and I talk to clients about all the time, and we have to have you on every day. This is crazy. We're only doing this once a week anyway. But it's like, because I always get into the insurance thing. It's like, wait, whoa. You just deeded, you put your kid on your house so that he could inherit the house from you, or you co-signed with your kid. I'm going like, does your kid have, $1 million of car insurance? No, he's in college. I went, but he owns your house. What'd you do? And they go, what? And I said, if they get into a car accident, you lose your house. And they go, oh no, I have to undeed. I go, think people. think. Yeah. So the co-borrow thing, because I run into that because my whole career I've done bankruptcy practice, and this co-borrow thing, and some people, again, they don't think. I go, why are you co-borrowing? Because the bank, if you have to have a co-borrower, the bank is pretty much figuring, you know what, the co-borrower is going to have to make these payments. That's what I always thought. Anyway, okay, sorry about that. So go to the third one. Okay, this is very exciting. Go ahead.
So third one, this one is really good because I personally used it 32 years ago. And it was like the best thing, and I came up with it all on my own.
Nice.
So at that time, I had a great job, and I'm an electrical engineer. I'm doing everything. I had real estate also. I was a real estate agent at that time too, but I wasn't making enough consistent income the way they look at independent contractors. So one of the problems was I could not qualify for
2 minutes
the loan amount I needed to buy the house I needed, because when you buy a house, and let's say it's a 2 or 3 bedroom and you're going to get roommates, they will not qualify potential rent for those roommates into your thing. They will not do that. You have to qualify on your own. But I knew that I was going to have roommates. My entire life, I've always had roommates. So it gets into a tricky part here, and I'm like, how do I do this? because I know I'm going to have it. My parents did not have the cash. They really did not. They were not willing to co-sign on the loan, and I didn't ask them to because, the liability, just like you just brought up. But what I did was I kind of ran some numbers, and I suddenly realized that if my parents assumed the debt on my car loan, and because my car loan was pretty big at that time, it was like 1992, and
Wait a minute.
got one of those things. I think I was paying $450 a month. That was really high at that time. But I got them to assume the car loan debt. And by doing that, and we did it, with the bank legally saw it, the place that I was getting my loan on, that opened up my qualifying to be able to qualify for the loan amount I needed on my house to buy the house. And so I bought the house on my own, but my parents managed my car debt. And once I got my roommates in, I got the roommates to pay, and they paid the car loan.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to come up with a title. I'm going to come up with a name for that. That's cool. That's kind of like an end run. There's got to be a name for that. It's the Ken Pecus special. I love it. See, that's why we have people like you, like Ken. You guys, this is why we have Ken on the radio show with us on Word on Wealth, to help us figure things out non-conventionally that actually work. You don't have to do it with your own brain. You got to do it with Ken's. Call us up 888-344-1170. Give Ken a call at 619-977-8419. All right. Coming up next, we got a fourth option for helping a kid buy a home. We'll talk about that coming up next on the Word on Wealth.
You've got questions. We've got answers. This is the Word on Wealth with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Gary's here to give you peace of mind with expert estate planning, trust administration, inheritance, and probate. Call Gary to build, protect, and transfer your wealth. 855-500-TRUST. GQlaw.com. You're not alone. Ask for the legal help you need. Call Gary and the team at GQ Law, 855-500-TRUST, or go online and download Gary's free ebooks and videos. Read Gary's blogs. Call or click to request your free consultation or to talk with a member of the GQ team. That's GQlaw.com, 855-5.
All right, welcome back. We're here on the Word on Wealth. We've got Ken Pecus. He's the founder of the Pecus Group at eXp Realty. His website's fun. I know for those of you that like to surf websites and see kind of what inventory Ken has up available. Some of the stuff is like phenomenal seaside property, commercial properties, small commercial and personal residence. But his website's cool. You can see him and his team, his growing team, and it's at kenpecus.com, KenPecus.com. Ken, I did, we were talking a little bit about where the markets are going, and I just want to finish our discussion on parents helping kids get into houses, but then I want to move into buying houses. Is now a good time to buy? The Fed came out with another prediction that they're going to slow the economy and all that kind of stuff. So
I have one really good example, another really suggestion that I want to put out there, and then we can maybe wrap up with just the overall market and what's going on.
Excellent.
Sounds good?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so here's one of my favorite things. So by the way, that suggestion I said about how my parents assumed my loan. So you could take that to all sorts of different other debt, meaning you could have credit card debt, you could have whatever kind of debt. It has to actually go out of your name and out of your credit. And that's why I'm saying a parent could do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're going to bring some friend or somebody off the road that's going to do this stuff. A parent, my mom and dad knew that I had a way to ensure that payment was going to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And because they knew that I was going to have roommates. So it was slam dunk. And so we were able to do it completely transparent to the mortgage company. And they were perfectly fine with it because they weren't going to use the roommate income anyway. So that part was all done.
Cool.
Okay, so another way is if you're a parent or grandparent that has a kid that's going to go to college. And so I'm going to make a smaller subset of people, not just any, but you are somebody that actually is supporting your child through college. I know there's a lot of people that paid for college themselves and the parents weren't able to. I'm one of them, but I also know a lot of people in my life, a lot of my friends from high school, and their parents did pick up the whole 4-year tab, including living on campus or an apartment or any of that. If you fall, Gary, did you fall into that?
Oh no, paid for my own
section?
college.
Okay.
Paid for my own college, paid for my own law school.
How about the kids?
With my kids, we put them through, we had a really good way of doing it. Anyway, we had kind of an earn back with our kids. There's an earn back where if you got scholarships, so we had a budget for tuition. It wasn't that much. We literally said, here's your budget for everything. This is tuition, housing, and they had a choice where to go to school. Here's your budget. So they kind of did it budget wise. And then because we were agreeing to pay for tuition, we had this, we called it our earn back program. And if they scholarshiped, we would still pay the tuition. We would just pay it to the kid. So most of my kids were able to scholarship quite a few of their semesters, and some were like a full ride. So we end up paying tuition to the kid. So I thought that was, we had a fun way of doing it.
To be a Gary kid, I would get those scholarships and then I'd get that. That was an awesome program.
Well, because then they didn't have to work. Because if you couldn't scholarship, like some of my kids, there was a semester or two where they couldn't scholarship. Their classes were really brutal. Sorry, that's the deal. And then they would get a part-time job and make it up, So then they realized, okay, if I work really hard, I can't work part-time because I'm working so hard to get my scholarship, and they got their scholarship, and then it made it so they didn't have to work outside of school, right? That type of thing. So anyway, it worked out great for kids that way. So
love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so here's I'm just going to give you a real-time program. So who I'm talking to here is somebody that is paying the housing for their kids, and maybe they're on scholarship, but they're still paying for their housing, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things you can do is actually buy a condo. Think about this. Buying a condo for your kid somewhere near the school. Now, this could happen in almost any city in any state that the university doesn't. It just have to be San Diego. But I'm going to use San Diego as an example because that's where we live, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say your kid is going to USD, UCSD, San Diego State, Cal State, San Marcos. Use any of those 4 major universities. There's even Point Loma, Nazarene. So any of those universities in San Diego. When they're paying for on-campus housing, they're generally paying somewhere between $1,000 to $2,000 a month nowadays. I mean, it just depends on,
Hmm.
quality, dorm room, what you're doing. And most of those dorms, you're like in a suite. You're sharing, the kid is sharing, a dorm room with somebody, and then they have common area. They generally don't have any kind of kitchen stuff. They go to the common dorm kitchen. Cafeterias and stuff like that. So if you consider this, if you're somebody that is sitting on a little bit of capital, and when I say a little bit of capital, that's questionable, the word little, but let's just say you're sitting on $100 to $200,000 in capital, which is not little, I understand, but compared to the cost of college, it is, kind of looking at that. If you have $100 to $200,000, sitting in a money market account, in a low interest investment account, something like that, and it's your reserves, you might consider buying a small condo. So let's say you go to Mission Valley and you bought a small, and then I'm not talking some brand new, top of the line, new development, just an older condo. It could be up in University City, whatever, and you spend $500,000 on it. And there's older condos that you can buy for 2-bedroom, 2-bath. So if you spend $500,000 and you had $100,000 to put down, and this is you, the parent, that's doing it. This is not necessarily you, the kid, that's doing it. Although you could put the kid on with you, and you could make this a whole family affair doing this. Well, if you do that, your payment on that condo, depending upon what HOA is going to be, at current interest rates, let's say the current interest rate is like quarters. That's not an unreasonable number. If you're going to do that, that payment is going to come out somewhere to being around $3,300 to $3,700 a month, including an HOA fee, and that also includes taxes and insurance, property taxes. Okay, so let's just say we're looking at $3,500 a month payment. Now, it all depends on the individuals and what kind of lifestyle they live, but you could take somebody like myself. When I was in college, I lived in an apartment all 4 years. I had 3 roommates. We always had 2 guys in each room. So I always lived with 4 guys. But then we had a big apartment. We had a living room, dining room, kitchen, everything like that. And it was always a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Well, in San Diego, if you have that same situation, if a parent is paying $1,000 to $2,000 for the kid to live on campus, getting roommates for approximately $1,000 a month to being able to live independently in an apartment is almost a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm.
And so here you are, you're investing in a property that you put the money down, but literally you're not going to spend any more money into this property to pay for it over the next 4 years, because you're already going to pay for your child's housing while they're at college. The roommates are going to bring in the rest of the housing. So your whole payment is made. And so you have this condo, it has security. The kids, the college kids, love it, a lot, because they have freedom, they have more room. It's better than living in a dorm by far for so many people. Some people enjoy the dorm, but a lot of college kids would take this in a heartbeat. And then at the end of 4 years, you have 4 years of equity built into a property.
2 minutes.
That if you're in San Diego, you're almost, I don't say guaranteed, but you have an investment equity that's certainly gone up more than your 100 or 200,000 that's been sitting in the bank for these 4 years with a low interest rate. If it was a money market or whatever,
right,
you protected the child's housing while you're in college. You have control over the housing, and it is like the best freaking investment you can have. And if you, at the end of the 4 years, you could have worked out. Maybe it's at that time you refi yourself out of it, and your college kid just started their new life post college with a condo that they own, and it's like.
And in the meantime, you have the property manager is your kid. If they learn the financial responsibility, you don't have to hire a property manager. You got your kid. If there's maintenance on the property, or if there's, gardening or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I always like that idea. I think I like the idea of getting kids involved, get them involved, physically and financially, so that they have like skin in the game, and it helps your investment. Like I like ideas like this. This is kind of this is an estate planning. For me, it's estate planning 301 when you get into this, where you're starting to plan seriously with money. So this is why we have you on, Ken. Really appreciate you talking about this. So we're going to go right to the top of the hour with Ken. If you want to ask Ken a question specifically, it's 888-344-1170. To get a hold of him directly, 619-977-8419. All right, what we're going to come up with next on this show is we're going to go. The interest rates are moving again. They're threatening to move. Ken's going to give us his expert opinion on that. The Fed came out today, and of course, we're going to stop inflation, whatever. So we're going to talk about that. And then, do we buy now? Do we wait now? Do we sell now? Do we now? And there's really a big question. Like, it depends. And we're going to talk about that specifically coming up next, right here on the Word on Wealth with Ken Pecus. We'll be right back.
You don't need to know everything. You just need to know where to find.
By the way, this line. I want to know how to base. And the
Tell a friend about this broadcast outreach, The Word on Wealth, with Gary Quackenbush of GQ Law. Call or click to request your free initial consultation or to talk with a member of the team. Call Gary at 855-500-TRUST, gqlaw.com.
You're live.
I'm telling you, we got everything you need to know right here on the Word on Wealth with Ken Pecus. I'm your California attorney. He is your California real estate professional. Ken is from the Ken Pecus Group. He founded it. He has, I want to ask, agents. Ken. So here's the thing with Ken is his career is not like coming to an end. He's been doing it for 30 years. It's the opposite. Ken's growing so fast. And I think it's funny because I know a lot of real estate professionals who cannot sell a house. They're just dying on the vine. Oh my gosh, rates are going up. I think I'm going to have to sell my house and move to Kentucky. And then Ken is hiring more and more agents. So let's talk about the market a little bit, Ken, please. Fed funds came out and said, we're going to stop inflation. We're going to do whatever it takes. So it looks like rates may go up, but then rates may go back down. So talk about that. And then, does it make sense to buy now? Should we wait? Answer all those questions, Ken.
Got it. Okay, well, so let's just say what's going on with me right now. So in the last week, My team and I, we've opened 4 new escrows, and we lost out on 3. Okay, so meaning that where we submitted offers and we were not successful. And all 7 of those properties, all were multiple offers, and they're in different parts of the county. We even had one of my agents just open escrow in Borrego. So we're talking, we've got a pretty big, wide viewpoint on all this stuff.
Wow.
So here's what that tells me. That tells me is whatever's going on with the rates, the overall buying market here is not softened. There are buyers out there. Okay, so in fact, the one I opened yesterday, I had 7. We were the 7th offer. There were 7 offers, and we won it. And there's a technique in how you do that. There's in how you go about it. So there is a very, very healthy market for inventory that's coming on. So we're getting a lot of inventory that's coming on the market, and if it's done right, it's going off the market, but it's not a done deal that you can get it. There's a task. So overall, the market, I'd say in San Diego, is very healthy. We spoke last week how the median price had popped up. We're still waiting for Case Shiller, because that's really what I'm always looking towards. But at least that those things are going on. With what Jerome Powell is saying right now, I think you can take that to the bank, so to speak, and that there's probably minimally going to be 2 to 3 interest rate increases as we go on the rest of the year here. So pretty confident that there's going to be some into the funds rate, but that it'll drift down to long-term rates. So if you evaluate the existing market, I don't think those interest rate increases are really going to affect it, because we already have such excess demand that even if some people pull out of the market because the interest rates go up a little bit more, I don't think that's going to affect the fact that we're still going to sell property. So it's going to bring us all down to what happens next. So I think they're going to effectively bring inflation down. It'll probably come into the 3s or the low 4s. I just don't see it getting down to the 2s yet. And I know they're talking about that. There's a lot of other weakness. There is a lot of weakness in the commercial market right now. There's shopping malls that are across the country that are going back to the lenders. They're going into default. They're just giving the keys back. Westfield is giving some keys back. I think it was Westfield. Don't quote me on that, but some really large mall owners. There's a lot of other mall owners that are going through conversions. And the reason I bring that up is it's not just all about how much the avocado costs. It's not just all much about how much it's going to cost to put the gas in your car. It's not about houses. It's also about the overall market. And I think that commercial weakness is going to slow the Fed down also on interest rates.
Okay.
So that said, it's hard to find somebody that does not believe that interest rates are going to soften next year. And they think, and the reason it would soften is because you can kind of see the weakness in different segments of the economy, which the reality is this is what the government is trying to create it. So what they're trying to create is coming around. You can see it coming. And so that means the interest rate is going to probably be going lower next year. And so if you're sitting there thinking, all right, that's great, I'll just wait till next year, it comes to a very interesting question that we're talking about now. Should I just not buy right now? Should I just wait till the interest rates go down next year? Right?
Yeah.
Which one do you do?
Yeah. And that really is the big question. If somebody hears that, well, interest rates are going to go down, like, okay, well, that's going to make a difference. My buying power will be better next year. I'm just going to sit back.
All right.
Should we?
So I say pick your poison.
Depends. Okay.
So here's the big depends. You pick your poison. Right now with the high interest rates, we're into multiple offers. The one I just told you about that I got over 7 offers, we're still going in almost 10% over list price. So here's the question. Do you think the slightly higher interest rates right now will overcompensate for the extra money you're going to pay next year when the interest rates are lower and you're going to have even more competition? So one of the things about lower interest rates is there's going to be even more buyers that come into the market, because apparently the market is strong enough, the job market is strong enough, buyers are confident enough. They know that we're not going to see super low interest rates as it is. And there's a lot of lending sources right now that if you buy right now, they're offering you zero or very low cost refi streamlines next year when the interest rates go down.
Mhm.
It depends on your lender and you have to talk to them directly. So there's, lenders are smart. They're like, okay, well, don't wait. Buy now. We'll refinance you for free next year when it goes down. If they don't go down, then we're not going to refinance you, but then at least you got into a property. And if they don't go down, that means inflation is staying really stubborn, which then once again means your equity that you just bought this year is going to continue to build.
Mhm.
So it's almost like you can wait. And, there's people that their mindset just can't get past that. But then to those people that say, if you really want a lower interest rate, still buy now, but just do a 2-1 buy down where you buy the interest rate down for this year, 2%, you buy it next year a little bit higher. And then at the end of 2 years, if interest rates are not coming down and you don't want to refinance to that, at least you had 2 years of home ownership. And if you could see what's been happening with all the COVID sales right now, or what I just suggested with the parent and the university, buying it for their student housing, you're going to make a pretty significant return on your investment if you just hold it for 2 years. And that's assuming interest rates don't go down, because if interest rates don't go down, that means inflation stayed high. If inflation stayed high, that means your equity position kept rising. It's all connected.
And when we talk about things like this on our show tomorrow with Anthony, we have the same thing. It's just interesting. I don't think most of us think of real property like you do, because this is what you do, and and you understand, and as much about what Jerome Powell says as Anthony, right? And Anthony's all about the investments and the buying and selling and stocks and bonds and mutual funds and all that stuff. And it's very interesting because I talk to Anthony and I'm always like, hey, Anthony, the Fed came out and they announced that, they're going to raise rates, and, this other thing happened in the market. And I said, so what's happening with the investment strategy? He said, oh, we already saw that coming. We knew it was going to happen. We already adjusted for it. So I'm like, well, but the news, it's alarming. And he says, we already knew. We can read the market. We already adjusted for it. It didn't affect us. I go, wow. And so there's like, with you, it's the same thing. People get wind, they listen to the news, and they go, oh, interest rates are going down. Okay, we're going to buy next year because our buying power will be higher. But it's like, but wait a minute. But if they don't go down, then that might be an issue. If they go up, it's because there'd be interest, because inflation is higher. That means the rate of gain on the property, your house is going to go up in value even faster. So it's like, it doesn't really matter. That the thing is, look over my entire life, real estate in San Diego has always, always, always gone up. There's never been a crash. There's been drops. There's been adjustments, but it's always gone up. It's like, that's San Diego. And I love your attitude about that. It's just like, move, do it.
Well, the beautiful thing about this is, especially if you're buying an owner-occupied house, okay? Let's say this is, and those are the people, I would say, those are the prospective purchasers that generally have the most insecurity or the most apprehension about jumping in.
Mhm.
They don't want to make a mistake. It's completely understandable. You've heard horror stories. You don't want to make this mistake by buying at the top of the market or something like that. So we've said you don't ever sell unless it's appropriate. But here's the deal. If you're worried about interest, and I'm only talking about this segment of the market.
About a minute.
If you're worried about interest rates and you're really worried that in 2 or 3 years, the interest rates are not going to come down, remember, if you're owner occupying and you sell as a principal residence, you're going to predominantly take all of that gain tax-free.
Yes, absolutely. No, I love it. So this is what you got to think about. That's why we have Ken. Ken, really appreciate you being on the show today. We always love your inspirational outlook on things. The real estate market in San Diego. That's why you've been in it so long. That's why those of us that have been in it for years are very happy with it. I mean, welcome to the San Diego real estate market. We got Ken here every Wednesday. Make sure you give him a call if you're buying or selling or even thinking about it. It's 977-8419. Do what me and my family did and does, and that is if it's a real estate issue, we're calling Ken, 619-977-8419. Ken, thank you. Listeners, thank you. We'll talk to you again tomorrow right here on the Word on Wealth. Have a great day.
Tell a friend about the Word on Wealth, featured since 1995, with financial solutions attorney Gary Quackenbush, an expert in estate planning, wills and trusts, and tax problem solving. Gary is past president of the California Society of Tax Consultants. Reach out to us. The Word on Wealth team of financial experts is here to answer your questions and help preserve your family's financial future. The information you hear on the Word on Wealth is for general information purposes only. This program discusses general financial and legal topics. Seek legal advice from a competent lawyer for your individual legal